Hey y'all, so that's a wrap on the day. I didn't get a lot of footage. Well, I didn't get no footage today. I'm in the process of training the new guy. He's doing good, and he's pretty familiar with things. Well, he's mechanically inclined, if you will. He's a lot like me in a lot of ways. He learns better by doing, right? And he's already, he's worked on a landscape outfit before. It's been a while back, but so he kind of knows more than most of the guys that come out here. The best thing about it is he is trainable. That's the thing that I really struggle with over the years, is whether somebody is trainable or not, and do they catch on to things fast. A lot of guys, they don't. They look at me when I'm talking to them and telling them stuff, but they don't even. You'll look up and they'll be doing the direct thing that you told them not to do. I had a lot of that out here, but I don't know. When I started, I mean, I don't have any degree in this crap, man. I'm not a human resource expert or nothing. So, yeah. But we made money today, so the business didn't make a lot, but that's okay. I don't mind not making a lot as long as I'm training. But we're only limited on what we can do. There's not a lot of the properties that we can do. We did about $230 worth, something like that. Not, but it didn't cost me that much either. But I went on and paid him, good, because, well, he ain't worked all week, and I know, in my experience, these guys that come out here and work, they need money. You can't starve them, because there ain't no work if you want a good guy. The guys I've had out here in the past, and well, they might be good guys, but they're not. Ain't none of them being a top quality worker, because if he was, he'd still be out here. See, something always happens, always. And I used to think it was me, but I realized about, I don't know, probably 5 years ago or so, that it ain't me, it's them. The likelihood of finding a solid guy to come out here and work every day is slim, and then be everything that you need them to be. But if we can just do a little bit and a little bit, like today we did a new one, and we did the gas station, and we did the commercial one of the offices that we do. Everything's flat ground. Nothing's really hardcore manicured. And that's the kind of thing that I'll go for when it's rained like it's rained, But I feel pretty good about everything so far. Not sure what we're gonna get into tomorrow, but I'm gonna find something for us to do. So yeah. New guys doing what new guys do. Doing good. And I'm pretty comfortable with him out here too. It has a lot to do with how I feel, right? I know you can't run a business based on your feelings, but you in a small business like this, you can. I have a good feeling about the guy, and based on my experience with other knuckleheads out here, I have dealt with a lot of knuckleheads, and I know what to look for, and I know what, traps these guys fall in after they're out here. Everybody usually does pretty good when they come out here to begin with. It's what are they going to do when they start making really good money? That's usually the telltale sign of whether you got a good guy or not. So tomorrow we might do my yard. My yard needs it bad. most every guy does really good when they first come out here. It's when they start getting comfortable and they start getting good money, and then they start, because they'll make good money, but they won't be out here a long time. And the more experience they get out here, the less time they're out here and making more money. I know that's backwards when you look at a 40-hour week and what everybody else is, what society has taught people, you know, about working a 40-hour week and blah, blah, blah. You know, when you're in control of your destiny, you'll find that there's a lot of things that you can do not to have to work in the field 40 hours a week. I want guys that, you know, I don't want hostages out here. I want guys that want to come to work, that want to make good money, want to grow and evolve as a person, as a man or a woman or whatever, that wants to get disciplined with their money if they're not, that wants to be more today than they was yesterday. I mean, you know, it ain't like anything that I ain't said before in a video. I want to be more today than I was yesterday. I want to be more tomorrow than I am right now. And it's a slow climb, but it's a climb, and it's that way forward. These guys that come out here that I've had, they'll take 2 steps forward, 5 steps backwards. 2 steps forward, 5 steps backwards. That's how they roll there. And then when you stand back, if you're me, and you look at more than just their employment, right? You look at how they live, how they move around, then you see that they're 2 steps forward, 5 steps backwards in every aspect of their life. It ain't just how they handle their money, though how they handle their money can really dictate how many steps they go backwards, because the more money they got, the more options they have to make bad decisions, which is going backwards. So it's the crazy. I never even in a million years, you know, thought like I think now, or could have the ability to think like I think now about money, life, the choices, and blah, 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 when I was in my 30s. I never in a million years would have been able to see it as clear. I never would have been able to see it as clear and precise as I see things now. It's a totally different outlook on life. And it's a realistic outlook. It's a healthy outlook, you know, and it's based on, you know, a lot of experiences that I've had out here, and just in life too. It ain't always been like it is now. I have just, well, I've gotten in my lane, and I'm riding in my lane, and I'm not looking backwards. We all thought and knew that I was going to have to find another employee. We all knew that my other guy was not footing the bill, was not doing as good as he could with his tenure out here. You know, not because he couldn't do the work, and not because he wasn't willing to do the work. It's because of all the field stuff. You know, getting arrested and getting tickets, and, you know, wrecking your car and not having a ride, not being able to keep your phone on. All these things are, you know, on your own time, right? But as an owner of a business that's got employees that do dumb shit in their off time, and it ain't none of my business what they do in their off time, well, okay, we can say that, but it ain't none of my business, but it affects me. it affects me big time. So narrative that, you know, it ain't none of my business what they do in their off time, well, that's some bullshit. That's a bullshit narrative. That's a bullshit way to look at things, because that's simply not true. But I used to really believe that. But see, I know that that's not true. You can't tell somebody what to do in their off time. No, you can't. But you can't be dumb enough to think that what they do in their off time doesn't affect what they do out here. You're a dumbass if you think that, because it really does affect everything. If you got a high character guy, then you a high moral guy, then you got a good thing going. But when you got a guy that ain't, and a guy that don't know how to handle his life outside of working, it's going to cause you problems. But it ain't none of my business. You're going to come in hungover, but it ain't none of my business. They're going to call me in the morning talking about they ain't got a ride because they was out until 3 o'clock in the morning and their car got impounded. It ain't none of my business though, but it certainly affects my business. So don't get caught up in that BS about, I've had to learn about employees. And I know a lot of the answers to a lot of what people come in the comments or have in the past come in the comments, a lot of their answer to everything, you need to pay them more money. You're not paying them enough. And you sound utterly ridiculous. That's the least of their worries. Need to pay them less, if anything, so they don't have all this money to go get into shit they don't know nothing about. And that's what always happens. It always happens, man. So I'm gun shy on any employee out here that I know is going to make good money, because I know that I pay good. And the problem is, when they start making good money, what they do then. If you broke, it's hard to get into anything, because you broke. When you got a few dollars in your pocket, it's a lot easier to get into things that you wouldn't normally get into if you was broke. Just saying. Well, that's my lecture on the day, y'all. Deuces.